What is your name, please?
My name is Wilfred Deno.
What is your name, please?
My name is Wilfred Deno.
What is your name, please?
My name is Wilfred Deno.
Two of these people are imposters. Only one of them is the real Wilfred Deno and is the only one sworn to tell the truth.
Geritol, America's #1 tonic. Geritol, the fast-acting, high-potency tonic that helps you feel stronger fast, presents To Tell the Truth.
With your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you, and good evening. This, as you know by now, is a game of deliberate misrepresentation, wherein four presumably smart people try to find out which one of three challengers is sworn to tell the truth. And now let's meet our cross-examiners. What is your name, please?
My name is Polly Bergen.
My name is John Cameron Swayze.
My name is Hildy Parks.
And my name is Hy Gardner.
I can attest that these people are telling nothing but the truth. Now, these three people all claim to be Wilfred Deno. Only one is the real Wilfred Deno. The other two have assumed that identity, and of course, they don't have to stick to the truth. Now, panel, in front of you is a copy of an affidavit. Will you please listen and follow while I read it? My name is Wilfred Deno. I am married and the father of one son. During World War II, I served in the Navy as chief warrant officer in the Pacific. Although my hobby is boating, my job demands a major part of my time, since I am the warden of Sing Sing Prison. I swear that the above statement is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Signed, Wilfred Deno. These three people all claim, panel, to be Wilfred Deno, warden of Sing Sing Prison. Now remember, if you will, that only the real Wilfred Deno is required to answer your questions truthfully. Each of you will question until you hear this signal. At the end of 4 minutes, you'll be asked to register your vote for the one person who, in your opinion, is the real Wilfred Deno. And let's start this evening with Hy Gardner. Hy?
All right, number one. It seems silly calling a warden by a number. What does the name Clinton Duffy mean to you, sir?
I believe he's a warden in some other state.
Number two, what does the name Clinton Duffy mean to you?
Well, I've just heard it in literature.
I see. How about you, number three?
Well, I understand he's a warden. I don't know him. I've heard of him.
I see. Would you know whether Duffy ever wrote a book that became a motion picture?
No, I would not.
Would you, number two?
No.
You, number three?
I read a book.
You read a book? That's nice to know that a warden reads books. Number two, I would like to know what the population of Sing Sing is, sir.
It's approximately 1,800.
Approximately 1,800.
Polly Bergen. Polly?
Number one, I understand you were in the Navy during World War II.
That's correct.
Could you tell me, what is the highest non-commissioned officer in the Navy?
A chief petty officer.
Number two, could you tell me the highest non-commissioned officer in the Navy?
Chief petty officer.
Number three, could you tell me?
Yes, chief petty officer.
Number one, what exactly are the requirements to become a warden at Sing Sing? Any specific requirements?
Well, I imagine you must have acquired some experience at some time or other.
Number two, do you know of any specific requirements for being a warden?
Yes, you must come up from the ranks, starting from a guard on the way up.
John Cameron Swayze.
Number one of your predecessors was particularly well known. Does the name occur to you? Warden?
Warden Laws.
That's correct. He had a very definite belief regarding capital punishment. What was it?
Well, I really
Number
couldn't
two.
say.
Well, I couldn't say.
Number three.
He was opposed to it.
Now, he also had a very definite belief about the convicts that came to Sing Sing, how long they should serve, the length of terms, the division between this man and the other man. Can you tell me what that was?
Well, of course, he did not fix the length of term. That was fixed by the court.
I appreciate that, but he had a belief about the division of
Yes,
convicts.
I think he felt that when he felt that the prisoner had reformed, it was time to let him go to get back to society.
Would I be correct if I said that he said half the men in prison should be free and half should stay in prison for life?
You might well be. I don't know.
Hildy Parks.
Number 3, I see that your hobby is boating. Powercraft or sailcraft?
Power, small power.
I see. There is a sailboat called an L-16. Do you know what the L stands for?
No, I do not.
Number 2, you were in the Navy during the war. Who was Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet when you served there?
Nimitz.
Admiral Nimitz. Number 1, would you tell me what a Marconi rig is?
No, I wouldn't know.
Are you a power or sailcraft man?
Power.
Oh, well, then you have every right not to know what a Marconi rig is. How do the front gates get open?
It's up to me?
Uh-huh.
Well, I imagine with a key.
Number 2, if you were on your way out, who'd let you out? How do the gates get open?
It'd be open with a key.
Number 3?
Well, it's difficult to answer that specifically. You'd have to be, whether you're going out as a discharged prisoner or just going out as...
You
Let's, we
personally
have
wanted to
no
go
time
down.
to ramify. I'm terribly sorry, Hildy. We haven't. We have time now for just one final question from each of you. So, Hi, what's your final one?
Number 2, I'd like to ask, is Lamarco, the convicted kidnapper of the Weinberger baby, in solitary because of fear of other convicts?
We have no solitary up in Sing Sing.
Polly, what's your last one?
I would like to get the answer from number 3. Number 3, how do they let you out of Sing Sing if you are a discharged prisoner?
You sign certain papers, you get the money you've earned, they give you a suit, an overcoat in the winter, and you're given a certain amount of money and you're discharged and set free.
Thank you.
John?
Number 1, where is Sing Sing located?
About 30 miles from the...
No, the name. The name of the town.
Oh, Ossining.
Hildy?
Number 2, how do prisoners arrive at Sing Sing? By what mode of conveyance?
Well, it can be various. They're brought up by the local sheriff, either by train or car or any place at all, under the custody of the local sheriff.
Thank you.
All right. Now it's time to vote. Now, without consultation, panel, mark your ballots and select either number 1, number 2, or number 3. May I have the ballots, please? Now, the team of challengers will get, of course, $250 for every incorrect vote. That means, of course, if they fool the entire panel, they can divide as much as $1,000. This is Polly Bergen's ballot. She votes for number 3. John Cameron Swayze selected number 3. Hildy Parks picked number 3. Hy Gardner voted for number 3. All right, the ballots have been cast, and I'm sure that all of you good friends of ours at home have made up your minds. So now, will the real Wilfred Deno please stand? Thank you, sir. All right, let's find out about the other 2 now. Number 2, who are you really?
My name is Daniel Magan. I'm chairman of the board of Diebold Incorporated of Canton, Ohio. We try to keep prisoners out of Sing Sing. For 98 years, we've been making bank vaults and safes.
Thank you, sir. And how about you, number 3? You won all the votes.
My name is W.B. Northrop, former justice of the Court of Special Sessions of the City of New York.
Well, let's see now just exactly what we had. There were 4 incorrect votes worth $250 each, which means a total of $1,000 from Geritol for our team of challengers to divide. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Hope you had a good time. Good night and good luck.
Thank you.
Now let's have our next team of challengers. And panel, will you please listen while I read this affidavit? My name is Muriel Agnelli. I was born in a house just 1 block away from Arthur Godfrey's birthplace. In college, I majored in psychology. My husband and I recently started a business raising Christmas trees. Although my real name is Agnelli, I write a daily column on human relations, which appears in some 150 newspapers under the name Dorothy Dix. I swear that the above statement is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Signed, Muriel Agnelli. Now, we'll get along with our next game in just... All right. All right, it's time again now to play our game, panel. These three people all claim to be Muriel Agnelli, who writes a column under the name Dorothy Dix. Now, remember again, if you will, that only the real Muriel Agnelli is required to answer your questions truthfully. Again, each of you will question until you hear the signal for a total of 4 minutes, and then you'll be asked to register your vote. And this time, let's start with Hildy Parks. Hildy?
Number 2, where were you born?
Boston.
Boston, Massachusetts. What college did you attend?
New York University.
And what kind of psychology did you major in?
Just general psychology.
Number 1, what kind of psychology did you major in?
Child psychology.
Could you tell me the name of a gentleman who's very well known in that field, who's working at Yale University? I was thinking specifically of a gentleman who's working at Yale University and publishes a bunch of books these days.
I don't know.
Number 3, can you give me the name of that child psychologist?
No, I studied general psychology.
Number 3, what is a Rorschach test?
That's an ink blot test.
It is a what?
The ink blot test.
And what was the name of the man who invented the word association test?
I don't remember.
Number 1?
I don't know.
Hi, Gardner.
How many Dorothy Dixes have there been? Number 1,
2.
yes. 2. Where is the original Dorothy Dix right now?
She's dead.
She is dead. Yes. What was the original title of Dorothy Dix's column number 2?
Column on human relations.
That was the original title of Dorothy Dix's column. Number 3, what was the original title of Dorothy Dix's
Dear
column?
Dorothy Dix.
Number 1, what is your answer to that?
Dear Dorothy Dix.
Dear Dorothy Dix, now. What is the title of a song, number 1, one's dedicated to Dorothy Dix?
I don't know.
Number 2, how far in advance do you get your columns to the syndicate?
Pardon me, I didn't get that question.
How far in advance do you get your columns to the syndicate?
Oh, about 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks in advance.
Polly?
Number 1, where is Godfrey's birthplace?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. And where did you say you were born?
Baltimore.
You were born in Baltimore. Number 3, where were you born?
New York City.
In New York City. And you say you were born near where Godfrey lives. Where do you believe Godfrey was born?
About 105th Street and Amsterdam Avenue.
105th Street in Amsterdam. Number 2, where was Arthur Godfrey born?
In Boston.
In Boston. Makes sense. Number 2, how many years have you been writing the Dorothy Dix column?
5 years.
5 years. Number 3, how many years have you been writing the Dorothy Dix column? 7. Number 1, how many years? 5. Could you tell me how you were specifically chosen to replace Miss Dix?
I applied for the job.
You applied. Number 2?
I was an assistant to Dorothy Dix.
You were assistant. Number...
Sorry. John Cameron Swayze.
Number 3, you are the second Dorothy Dix, is that correct?
Yes.
When did Dorothy Dix die?
1951, I believe.
But you've been doing it for 7 years?
Yes.
Number 2, what was Dorothy Dix's real name?
Elizabeth Meriwether Gilmer.
Was she a single or a married woman?
She was a married woman.
What part of the country was she from?
She came from Kentucky.
Did she speak with or without a southern accent?
She had a slight southern accent.
What syndicate do you work for?
Bell Syndicate.
Where do you raise Christmas trees?
In New Jersey.
What is the trickiest thing about raising Christmas trees for sale?
Well, there's really no trick to raising Christmas trees because all you have to do is just let them grow and just prune them a bit for shape, that's all.
Number 1, how long have you been writing this column?
5 years.
When did Dorothy Dix die?
1951.
Okay, that's it, I'm afraid. Panel, time now for one final question from each of you, so make it a good one. Hi?
Well, I'd like to ask this question. Who do you get most of your inquiries from for advice? Are they teenagers or older women?
Mostly teenagers.
Mostly teenagers. Number 3?
No, I'm sorry, only one question. I'm sorry to call you on that high. Polly?
I'd like to ask them which one is the real one.
Yeah, one final question.
Number 2, how many years did you say you had been writing?
5 years for that.
5 years.
John?
Number 3, what should I pay for a good 8-foot Christmas tree?
Oh, an 8-foot Christmas tree, if it's a real good shape, would cost about $10. That's what I paid for mine this Christmas.
I didn't get stuck then.
Hildy, what's your last one?
Number 3, do you know what newspaper in Washington, D.C. carries your column?
And none.
All right, panel, again now, it's time to vote. No consultation. Please mark your ballots and select either number 1, number 2, or number 3. And may I have the ballots, please? The first, as usual, is Polly Bergen's ballot, and she votes for number 2. John Cameron Swayze selected number 2. Hy Gardner voted for number 3. Hildy Parks voted for number 2. All right, the die is cast once again, and I hope you folks at home have made up your minds. We'll find out whether you were right. Will the real Muriel Agnelli please stand up? Now, number 1, let's find out who you really are, please.
I'm Barbara Bayer, and I work in a travel agency in the Biltmore Hotel.
How about you, number 2?
I am Freddie Nakame. I'm a housewife and a model.
Oh, don't leave before we tell how everything worked out here. There were exactly 3 incorrect votes here, worth $250 each, so that means a total of $750, which you will divide from Geritol. Thank you, ladies, very much for being with us tonight. Good night and good luck. Now let's have our third team of challengers. Now, would you please listen again, panel, while I read this affidavit. My name is Edward J. Crosby. I am married and the father of 4 children, including a set of twins. Part of my income depends on the weather, since I work for a company which specializes in making rain by artificial means. A number of years ago, I wrote a biography of my brother. The title of the book was Bing Crosby. I swear the above statement is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Signed, Edward J. Crosby. All right, these 3 people all claim to be Edward J. Crosby, who wrote a book about his brother called Bing Crosby. Now, you'll each question until you hear the signal as usual. This time we'll start with John Cameron Swayze. John?
Number 2, what's Bing Crosby's real name?
Harry Lillis Crosby.
What's the name of the golf tournament he sponsors on the Pacific Coast?
I think the Bing Crosby tournament.
Number 1, what's the name of that tournament?
It's at Pebble Beach.
Did he play this year?
No.
Number 2, did he play this year?
I don't think so.
Number 2, was he ever with Paul Whiteman?
Oh, yes.
Did he do a single?
No, he was part of the trio.
Who are the other members?
Harry Barris and Al Rinker.
What was Bing's theme song as he rose to fame? Number 1.
The Blue of the Night.
What about his golf score? What kind of a game did you play?
He shoots about par.
Is he better than Bob Hope?
I would say so, yes.
Hildy Parks.
Number 3, where do you live?
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And how do you make artificial rain? Is it war paint and dancing around a fire, or what?
No, the principle on which you manufacture rainfall is the introduction of a chemical concoction called silver iodide into a cloud formation, and this causes the moisture in the atmosphere to congeal either into snowflakes or raindrops.
Now all we got to do is figure out how to stop it, huh? Number 1, where do you live?
Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Cambridge, Massachusetts. Did you ever spend any time in California at all?
No.
Where does your brother live?
Which brother?
Mr. Crosby, Bing.
Bing? Well, he lives in about 4 different places. He has a house in Carmel, a ranch up at Hayden Springs in Idaho, one at Elko, Nevada, and a home in West Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Hy Gardner.
Number 3, is that your own hair? Is that your own hair? Yes, sir. I have a family failing. It's fast disappearing, but... Of course, I don't know if any of the other Crosbys have any. Do you help bring rain to the east? For instance, several years ago when we had a drought, was your firm the one that did the job? No, I'm with a firm called the Weather Modification Company in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we've only recently had some success out there. We got a little snowfall after the president came in on his inspection. Did Gene Fowler or Pete Martin write a biography on Bing as well as you? Pete Martin wrote one that was very successful called Call Me Lucky. How many...
Sorry, Hi. Polly Bergen.
Number 2, could you tell me where Bing Crosby's twins are stationed?
No, I don't.
Number 3, could you tell me?
I'm not sure about that. You know, they go into basic training and they move, and this has recently taken place in their case.
I see. Do you know whether they're in the United States?
I'm not at all sure of that.
Number 1, do you know where the twins are stationed?
No.
Number 3, could you tell me, are you Mr. Crosby's business manager? Do you work for Bing in any way?
Bing's business manager is our second oldest brother, Everett, and he lives up in Poughkeepsie, New York now, but he keeps his hand in the Crosby Enterprises, Inc.
Well, time now for one final question, and the first one of those will come from John.
Number 2, what one of your nephews, Bing's sons, appears most likely to follow in his footsteps in show business?
I think Gary, probably.
Hildy?
Number 3, I know that Mr. Crosby has investments in a number of concerns. What food concern did he go into quite some time ago that was rather successful?
Well, he has a chunk of a very nice orange juice called Minute Maid.
I thanked him.
Hi, what's your final?
Number 1, what was the original name of the trio in which Bing sang?
The Rhythm Boys.
And a final one from Polly.
Number 3, what record company does Mr. Crosby record for?
I think he's the prop on which Decca stands.
Thank you.
All right, time to vote. So, panel, please mark your ballots. For either number 1, number 2, or number 3. And may I have the ballots, please? Polly Bergen votes this time for number 3. John Cameron Swayze selected number 2. Hildy Parks picked number 3. Hy Gardner voted for number 3. And I hope you friends at home have put your thinking caps on and done either guessing or voting, as the case may be. The facts are in. The ballots are cast. Let's find out. Will the real Edward J. Crosby please stand? Now, number 1, let's find out about you. Who are you really, sir, and what do you do?
I am Captain R.B. Moore, the commanding officer of the USS Saratoga.
Unless I miss my guess, Captain, the USS Saratoga is the largest warship in the world, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Oh, that's quite a responsibility. Number 3, who are you really?
Colonel Barney Oldfield, United States Air Force of the Continental Air Defense Command in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and the only thing I have in common with Edward J. Crosby is that I also wrote a book.
You are an author also. What is the name of your book, sir?
It's one called Never a Shot in Anger.
Never a Shot in Anger.
Available in great quantities right now.
How long has it been out on the market?
About 2.5 months, sir.
Huh? Well, I'd like to ask you one question. Apparently the panel doesn't have any, but I'm real curious. Are you, maybe you've been asked this countless times, are you any relation to the original Barney Oldfield?
I was named for him. When I was 4 years old, I met him, and he told me that certainly in the future people would always ask me if I was a relative, and he said there were so few Oldfields it was safe to say that we were cousins.
Oh. Well, I hope you've had... Yes, you have a question?
I'd just like to ask the captain one question. Is it true that Bing Crosby owns a piece of the Saratoga?
Well, you can try to answer that. Let's see what happened here now. There were 3 incorrect votes worth $250 each, which means, gentlemen, a total of $750 from Geritol. Thank you very much and good luck. That's all we have time for tonight, so good night, panel.
Good night.
Good night. And until next week, this is Bud Collier reminding you To tell the truth. Good night.
Travel arrangements for To Tell the Truth are made through American Airlines. American Airlines flies our contestants in luxurious comfort aboard DC-7 flagships. To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Codman production in association with the CBS Television Network.